Yeah, we all know the legends. John Entwistle, Geddy Lee, John Paul Jones. But what about the bass players who shaped rock from the shadows? Today we're turning the spotlight once again on those who never needed one. These 10 bass players' genius speaks louder than fame ever could. They called him God of Thunder. And if you've ever heard Grand Funk Railroad live in the early 70s, you know why. Schacher didn't just play bass. He made arenas shake. His gritty, overdriven tone was a wall of sound. Locking in with Don Brewer's drums to create a rhythmic freight train. Listen to I'm Your Captain, closer to home. Its slow, rolling bass line isn't just background. It's the heartbeat of the song. Schacher came from a background in garage rock, but in Grand Funk, he unleashed something far bigger. Stadium-sized grooves that could make 50,000 people move in unison. Yet, while Grand Funk famously sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles, Mel never got the household name treatment. Overshadowed by frontman Mark Farner's voice and guitar heroics, his role as the band's sonic engine often went unnoticed. But to those who really listened, Mel Schacher was the reason the whole machine roared. From sheer stadium power to something darker, more theatrical, the kind of bass that could creep under your skin. Before the guillotines, the fake blood, and the shock rock headlines, and there was the music. And Dennis Dunaway's bass was right at its twisted heart. On tracks like I'm 18 and School's Out, his lines didn't just keep time. They danced, slithered, and stabbed through the songs, adding tension and danger to Alice Cooper's theatrics. Dunaway wasn't just a sideman, he co-wrote some of the band's biggest hits, helping define a sound that blended garage rock grit with a macabre sense of fun. His approach to bass was theatrical in its own way, using tone and phrasing to create mood just as much as the lyrics or stage props. Yet outside of diehard circles, his name is barely mentioned. That's the thing about great bassists. Their impact is often felt more than seen. Without him, Alice's Dark Carnival wouldn't have hit nearly as hard, and rock history would have been missing a true original. Same decade, but a different stage, and a look that helped define glam rock. If you know Bowie's Ziggy Stardust album, you know Trevor Bolder's work, even if you don't realize it. His bass lines were bold yet elegant, threading glam rock swagger with melodic precision. Listen to Moonage Daydream. Those runs under Mick Ronson's guitar are pure gold, effortlessly balancing groove with creativity. Bolder wasn't just a player, he was a craftsman, adding harmonic depth to Bowie's alien persona. In Uriah Heep, he proved he wasn't just a glam rocker. He could power heavy, progressive rock with the same finesse. But in Bowie's world, the spotlight was on the hair, the makeup, the theatrics. Trevor's rock-solid contributions often got buried under the glitter and stardust. For those who dig past the image, though, Bolder's bass was a crucial piece of glam's musical backbone, the thread that tied the spectacle to a sound that still holds up decades later. Two bassists in the same band, but with very different hearts in their playing. There's a certain melancholy when we talk about Gary Thain. He had a natural, almost vocal-like touch on the bass, blending blues warmth with prog rock complexity. On songs like Easy Livin' and Stealin', Thain could groove hard, while weaving in little melodic flourishes that made each line memorable. Before Uriah Heep, he honed his skills in the Keith Hartley Band, where jazz and rock met head-on. But Thain's story is also one of tragedy. Struggles with addiction and a serious onstage electrocution in 1974 derailed his career. Less than a year later, he passed away at just 27. Today, his name lives on mostly among musicians and hardcore fans, but his influence on 70s bass playing is undeniable. His lines didn't just support the music, they sang, mourned, and celebrated right alongside it, leaving behind a body of work that feels as heartfelt as it does technically impressive. If Thain was the quiet soul, the next guy was pure chaos. If rock bus ever had a punk spirit, Pete Way was it. Loud clothes, louder amp, and a swagger that matched his thunderous playing, Way embodied rock and roll attitude. UFO's Dr. Doctor and Rock Bottom aren't just guitar showcases. Pete's bass drives them like a jet engine. He wasn't the stand-in-the-corner type. He prowled the stage, hair flying, a living extension of his instrument. UFO inspired the new wave of British heavy metal and bands like Iron Maiden, yet Pete's name rarely appears on mainstream best bassist lists. Maybe it's because he lived as hard as he played. The music press loved the wild stories, but often missed the genius in his grooves. For those who know, Pete Way was more than a wild man. He was the beating heart of UFO's sound, a player whose energy could lift a song into the stratosphere. Wild on stage, but now we move to someone whose best work often happened in the studio. Bob Daisley's fingerprints are on some of hard rock's most legendary albums, and yet he spent decades fighting for the credit. He played bass and co-wrote songs on Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, as well as with Rainbow and Uriah Heep. His bass lines were tight, melodic, and full of character. Listen to Crazy Train. That lift before the chorus. That's Daisley. His knack for writing bass parts that both served the song and added personality made him invaluable. Unfortunately, contractual disputes and behind-the-scenes politics often meant his contributions were downplayed or omitted entirely in reissues. Underrated? Absolutely. Undercredited? Even more so. Yet his work continues to inspire bass players worldwide. Whether in metal, hard rock, or even bluesy ballads, Bob Daisley proved again and again that a great bassist can shape the soul of a song as much as any singer or guitarist. After all that heavy metal, how about a little sunshine and funk? In a band famous for harmonies and breezy California rock, Tiran Porter brought something different, groove. His bass work on Long Train Runnin' and Listen to the Music gave the songs a bounce that made them danceable, without losing their rock core. Porter didn't just hold down the low end, he played with the fluid, almost vocal phrasing that kept the music alive and breathing. The Doobie Brothers had multiple lineup changes, but Porter's era defined their rhythmic identity. Still, casual fans remember the voices and guitars more than the man laying down the lines that made everything swing. In truth, Porter's bass was the glue, the thing that made the sunny harmonies and guitar interplay work as more than just pretty sounds. Without him, that California magic would have been a lot less groovy, and the band's most timeless songs might not have the same irresistible pull. From funk's bounce, we slip into something more fluid and a little stranger. Mick Karn's fretless bass tone was instantly recognizable. Fluid, almost vocal, bending notes in ways that made the bass sing. With Japan, he created soundscapes that were more art than rock, moody, exotic, and endlessly expressive. On tracks like Gentlemen Take Polaroids, the bass isn't accompaniment. It's the lead voice, weaving melodies as striking as any vocal or guitar part. Karn's approach was so distinctive that it's hard to compare him to anyone else. Too experimental for mainstream rock radio, he never chased chart success. Instead, he built a legacy among musicians where his work is studied and revered. His lines could be eerie, beautiful, or hypnotic, sometimes all in the same song. Mick Karn didn't just play bass, he painted with it, each note a brushstroke, in an atmospheric masterpiece that still inspires players looking to push the instrument beyond its traditional boundaries. Karn painted sound. The next bassist built it like an architect. Progressive rock fans know Gentle Giant is one of the most inventive bands of the 70s, and Ray Shulman was their low-end architect. His bass lines weren't just complex, they were essential parts of the band's intricate musical puzzles. Switching seamlessly between bass, violin, trumpet, and recorder, Shulman brought a multi-instrumental brilliance that elevated every track. His parts often moved like counter-melodies, adding depth and challenge for the listener. Yet outside prog rock circles, his name barely registers. A classic case of brilliance hidden by genre boundaries. In truth, Shulman's bass playing showed how the instrument could be as sophisticated and expressive as any in the band. Every note he played had intention, serving the song's elaborate structure without losing warmth or groove. For those willing to explore beyond the obvious, his work is a masterclass in musical architecture that rewards repeated listening. From complex prog to down-home southern rock, music you can feel in your bones. Southern rock has its guitar heroes, but Leon Wilkeson's bass was its backbone. His melodic approach gave Skynyrd's triple guitar attack a rock-solid foundation while adding its own character. On Sweet Home Alabama, his bass dances under the guitars, and on Free Bird, it builds tension before that legendary solo takes flight. Surviving the 1977 plane crash that killed several band members, Wilkeson returned to keep the Skynyrd spirit alive through countless tours and recordings. Yet history remembers the fiery guitar solos more than the steady, inventive lines holding them together. Wilkeson's work reminds us that, without a strong foundation, even the most iconic riffs can crumble. He was the quiet craftsman behind one of rock's loudest legacies, a player who could blend seamlessly into the mix while subtly shaping the way millions experience some of the most beloved songs in American rock history. These bassists didn't just play notes. They told stories, shaped sounds, and built the foundations of rock. Their names might be quieter than the legends, but their work still echoes in every note we love. Which one do you think deserves the loudest recognition? Let me know in the comments. And if you've got another underrated bass hero, I want to hear that too.